Jim Bridger and Fort Bridger. The true story behind Netflix's American Primeval. Netflix's American Primeval brings to life the gritty and lawless frontier of the American West, with real-life figures like Jim Bridger and his iconic Fort Bridger playing key roles. While many characters in the series are fictional, several historical figures shape the events of the Utah War depicted in the show. Jim Bridger, a towering figure of the Old West, is central to the series, and his story is intertwined with the fort that bears his name. Let's dive into the real-life Jim Bridger, the true story of Fort Bridger, and how American Primeval adapts these historical elements. The dark frontier of American Primeval. The Netflix miniseries American Primeval plunges viewers into the unforgiving wilderness of the 1850s, following Sara Rowell and her son as they navigate the treacherous frontier in search of her husband. Along the way, they encounter not only natural dangers but also the grim realities of life in a chaotic world. Early in their journey, they come across Fort Bridger, a place they quickly realize is far from the safe haven they had hoped for. Though the fort offers help, it's clear that the people there, including Jim Bridger, know better than to believe in any illusion of civilization. Who was Jim Bridger? The real-life mountain man. In real life, Jim Bridger, March 17, 1804 to July 17, 1881, was a legendary mountain man, fur trapper, scout, and one of the most influential explorers of the American frontier. Known for his formidable survival skills and deep knowledge of the land, Bridger was pivotal in helping settlers and Native American tribes negotiate during his many expeditions. He's also famous for establishing Fort Bridger in 1843, a key fur trading post that would later become a focal point of conflict. In American Primeval, Jim Bridger, portrayed by Shea Whigham, is a central character, and the series largely stays true to the historical figure. While the show doesn't delve deeply into his backstory, Bridger's stoic and pragmatic personality aligns closely with his real-life persona. However, the series could have showcased more of Bridger's extraordinary talents, as his skills in survival and languages are barely touched upon. In reality, Bridger was a man of remarkable breadth, navigating the complexities of the frontier with expertise. Fort Bridger's role in American Primeval and the Utah War. Fort Bridger plays a significant role in American Primeval, frequently appearing in scenes that depict negotiations between Jim Bridger and Brigham Young. In the series, Young seeks to purchase the fort, hinting at a military agenda. Eventually, he succeeds in burning Fort Bridger down to prevent the U.S. Army from using it as a base of operations during the Utah War. In reality, the Mormons did burn Fort Bridger, but the situation was slightly different. In 1855, 2 years before the events of American Primeval, the Mormons did purchase the fort, though there was a dispute over the ownership. Jim Bridger initially rejected their claim, despite the Mormons' assertion that they had bought it from co-founder Louis Vasquez. Eventually, Bridger relented and allowed the U.S. Army to use the fort during the Utah War in 1857. However, upon learning of this arrangement, the Mormons set the fort on fire, hoping to stop the Army from occupying it. After the fire, the fort was left in ruins, but the U.S. Army was still able to store supplies in the remaining stone structures. The legacy of Fort Bridger. Today, Fort Bridger stands as a historical landmark in Wyoming. Designated as a Wyoming Historical Landmark and Museum in 1933, parts of the fort still exist, including the original Pony Express building and the Mormon Protective Wall. The National Park Service maintains the site, which spans 37 acres and includes 27 historic structures, along with 4 replica buildings. While much of Fort Bridger was lost to time, the legacy of Jim Bridger and his fort endures in history and through American Primeval.